Starlight Talks. Oh. Not go sideways?
I don't know.
I guess not. After all that. Oh, hi. Hello. What's on Starlight Talks? I am in a car because I'm not at home. I'm doing stuff. So this week I thought we'd talk about transitions.
In 3/4 of a mile.
So I'm Chloe Estelle, and I do live streams called Starlight Talks every Wednesday at 7 Pacific Standard Time, where I talk about something related to autism, and sometimes I have a guest. This week I don't, but next week I do. I have Josh King on next week. Check out the website, OurTism.com. We have a workshop coming up to get tickets for. It's about triggers. So come to that workshop. It's about what triggers reactionary behavior, especially between a parent and child. And we're going to talk about how to create a connection. This is Benji, my server's dog. So, we have support. Do we have support group on Thursday?
Not this Thursday.
Not this Thursday, next Thursday. So, if you want to go to that, go check out the website, OurTism.com. And we have so many other great things on there. My blog, mentor services, life map, all great things for autism. So, this topic this week is transitions. I know I've had to do a lot of transitions lately, so I thought I would talk about it. Because it's something that can be difficult for those on the spectrum, and especially transitions that are not part of your schedule, or unexpected transitions, those kind of things. And so I'm going to talk about how to make transitioning a little bit easier. And what I mean from transition is switching from one activity to another. And that can just be one topic in conversation. It can be literally moving from one room to another. It can be moving location. It can be a change in plan, a change in schedule. It can be, transitions are just moving, from one thing to the next. And so, especially when you're talking about going from a preferred activity to a non-preferred activity, there's a lot of issue, and I know a lot of parents struggle, with getting their child off the computer, especially if they're hyper-focused on something. So we're going to talk about how to make that transition a little bit easier. So one of the things that I think is important is having, if you can, warnings before. So if you have your schedule in place, so you're like, okay, this happens every week, and you know that, say, like, you have soccer practice every week and one of it was canceled, knowing in advance is super helpful to prepare for that transition. But not just knowing, there's because there's what's known as, like, warning someone, like, okay, you're supposed to go to soccer practice now, but we're not going. Is actually physically having something in place. So if you're not doing that, putting something in place of that, so you don't have that loss of something you're supposed to be doing. Where, like, for example, just because soccer practice is scheduled, maybe you still feel the need to do something soccer related. So, okay, we'll kick the ball around, we'll do something like that. you know, just something so you don't, because sometimes that empty feeling, like, oh, I need to be in this location, can be pretty profound for those of us on the spectrum. But if you're dealing with a situation that is a last minute transition, then most likely you're gonna have to deal with some strong emotion. What was that noise? I don't know. So you're gonna deal with stimming, with meltdowns, with that kind of thing, and just be there for that. And the validation is important, you know. I'm sorry you're going through a rough time, you know, that sucks. All that kind of thing that I've talked about in the past. And it gets easier, I think, over time. The more you transition, the more you learn to accept it. So I think starting with easier things when you're younger to get used to it can be helpful. So, and then there's things like the computer, where a lot of people put in those warning systems, but I also think that there's a physical transition you need to do, where instead of just completely, okay, in 5 minutes you gotta completely turn it off and get off the computer and come downstairs, break that down into, okay, in 5 minutes I need you to say goodbye to everyone in the game, and then 5 minutes after that, let's just turn the game off, and then 5 minutes after that, how about we just turn away from the computer, and then we'll give you 5 more minutes, and then we can walk out of the room, and break it down into steps. And probably the first time you do this, it's going to take a long time, and so you be lenient with that and do a lot of validation and a rewarding system of, like, yeah, you got this far, and now we're going to do something good, like have one of your favorite snacks, or, like, you know, that kind of thing to make it nice. Like, I remember transitioning out of the pool during the summer. My mom would be, okay, now we're going to go to the Charlotte. Okay, now we're going to sit on the side of the pool. Okay, now we're going to go sit in the lawn chairs and dry off, and I'll give you guys some ice cream. Okay, now we're going to go to the locker room and change. And it was like this slow transition that made it easier, rather than, okay, we're leaving right now, you know, because it, so, and I remember, like, going to places like Disneyland, like places I really want to go, and then I would just sit in the car, and my mom's like, well, here, get out, well, here, get out, but I hadn't yet transitioned to being there. So I had to take a few minutes before getting out of the car. But I didn't know how to explain that. So my mom was like, why? She would get so frustrated with me over those kind of things. So sometimes you're just not ready. And you gotta wait and let yourself slowly transition. I would be one of the last people to leave the classroom, because transitioning from one subject to another took a while. So it takes a while to pack up. And then there's, like, just transitioning between topics. Like, I know, like, doing homework, I always did English and history together and math and science together, because I couldn't switch between those very quickly. So I tried to break that up, especially with the block schedule I could do. Like, I could break it up during my homework periods, so that I always did those together, so I didn't have to transition too quickly. So that's why I think that homeschool or some kind of programs like that allow leniency. You know what, today I'm just having a lot of trouble transitioning to this subject, so how about we stay on this subject for a little bit longer and maybe deal with that tomorrow when I'm able to switch to that subject. Those kind of things can be important. Yeah, I got a comment from Zaborski Nad who says, "Hello, Chloe from Canada. You have no idea how much you are helping me with my 9-year-old son." Oh, thank you. That's so nice. Yeah, I think that when you're younger, there's a lot of things that you deal with for the first time that can make things really scary, just like experiencing emotions for this time, experience like all these sensory things for the first time, and not knowing what to do, it gets really overwhelming. And so like they say that when you're older, like your autism lessens, it doesn't. You just learn how to cope with it. So when you're really little, everything's super, super overwhelming, I think. And especially, I think around 9 to 13, you'll see this transition to like this little, to wanting to grow up but not sure how. And then everyone's putting more rules on you and telling you, oh, you can't handle that. And that gets really difficult. So then you get anger at how unfair things are. So you have all that overwhelm, and then you have anger and frustration on top of that. So I think those of us on the spectrum have a really hard time as kids, and it's not really taken that as seriously as it should, because like kids are supposed to just be happy and play, and like they don't really have big problems, but they do. They have stuff, and so like I know transitioning when I was younger was very difficult. I had such I loved my schedule so much. I loved knowing exactly what I was going to do. And so it was really, really hard when plans changed. I know like people canceling last minute was super, super hard on me. And I always wanted I even like took tennis lessons since I was little, and even each year I was like, I want it on the same day and the same time if it could be. So I just like that. I liked having my meals at the same time, even the same kind of food. When I ordered lunch in middle school, we ordered from this restaurant, and I sent in this meal plan that I would have the same meal every Monday, and then another meal on Tuesday, and it would just repeat. And I changed it depending on the season. So like in the winter I had warmer food, and then on the warmer days I had more salads and stuff like that. But it was like I knew what to expect every week. And like those kind of things were really important to me. So when something I couldn't rely on that being there, it would cause strong emotions and meltdowns, and it would trigger very upsetting behavior. It was just really nice with like so much chaos, and I felt like I couldn't control that much, that there were these things I could rely on, that I could count on, and it just gave me a little bit more control, which made me happier. And
you see if there's any questions?
Yeah, if you have any questions, please leave them. I love answering you guys' questions and interacting with you guys. And yeah, thank you guys for watching every week. It means so much. See, what else? What other transitions can I talk about? Yeah, I of trouble with transitions, and it took me a very long time to figure out how to deal with them. I know in college I really had to just start going with the flow more, because a lot of things started happening last minute. People would be like, okay, we're going here right now, do you want to come? That's really how plans were made. And so I had to figure out how to really be spontaneous like that. And it's been really nice also in a way because I could go, okay, what is my body telling me? Checking in with my body and going, can I do this right now? Or do I need to rest? And so I was able to be more spontaneous, I think, because I went, okay, checking in with my body, what does it need? And then I would go and meet that need. If it was socialization, if I'm like, okay, I'm feeling a bit lonely, I'll go meet that need. Oh, right now I'm feeling tired, I should take a nap, even though this isn't the time I normally sleep. And I think that really helped me a lot in college. But I did have like different schedules that I kept to, where like I had the classes, and then I also scheduled time at the same time every week where I would do homework, and I kept to that schedule. And I made sure to, even if I didn't have homework due the next day, that I would just work on, essays or projects or that kind of thing. And that really helped me to stay on my work and on myself. And it really felt like I should be doing work during that time, and I never felt like I was missing out because it was scheduled like it was a class. And I know a lot of people couldn't figure out how to time manage, and that will really help me out. And one of the things that people don't do enough is to make sure you do your work outside your dorm room, or at least like a different place in your dorm room than where you relax and rest. I think that's important, to separate your work a little bit, because you only have that one space for so much of your life, and I think it's important to separate. And so I know, like when I was home, I did homework in the kitchen or homework in on my bed, but like my rest and play area were actually on my floor, and I made sure to separate that so I didn't feel that it overlapped too much, because like you didn't want to be in your relaxing place and be like, oh, but I need to do work, you needed that place to relax. And I know people who got too stressed because that got too mixed up. Well, it could be like they're trying to relax but they couldn't because they saw their books everywhere, or they were trying to do work but all their stuff with play was in that space, and so they couldn't transition to what they needed to focus on. So environment is a factor in transitioning for sure. So having an environment that helps you to transition to what you need to. So if you need to transition to work, then getting rid of anything that would distract you from doing that would be important. So if you're trying to focus on a book, then maybe put your cell phone away, put your laptop away, or if you're on your computer for work, then you close your internet. You can turn your internet off on your computer. You can delete the browser from your dock, so you're not looking at that. Some people even use computers for work and a computer for video games, and they don't overlap them. And like that kind of stuff can be really helpful to get your work done. But I know, like, with ADD, they actually need more stimuli a lot of the time in order to do that kind of work. So, like, my little sister is ADD. We'll have her TV on and her music on and, like, all this different stuff. I'm like, how do you focus? She's like, oh, it helps me focus. And I watch her. She gets more work done when she has all that on. But if that distracts you, then you shouldn't have that on. I can't have anything on. I know that people do. I do know music helps people focus, but I don't think there should be lyrics. You shouldn't really be listening to words. That is one thing that has been proven, that when you're listening to language, it's harder to do work. So, like, having something that doesn't have lyrics or in a different language that could help too, that you don't understand, like that. So, like, turning on a foreign movie or something might be helpful. You know, there's a lot of different crazy ways that people use to focus. I've seen the, like, colorful lights, like the fairy lights used. I've seen, like, people go into a room with nothing on the wall, just white walls. I've seen people, like, didn't need to eat while they work. Like, it's crazy. But do what works. I know there's people who, like, when they read their books, like, every time they read a page, they eat a Skittle or something. Do what, you know, works for you. It helps you focus and, like, be balanced, you know. I think if you're too stressed to do work, then you gotta have your mental health. You gotta work on your mental health, and that's important. I think mental health is just as important as your physical health. So if you're struggling in that area, it's important to work on that, because you're gonna have much better focus and be able to transition much easier. So if you find yourself not transitioning very easily, it's most likely that you're dealing with defense mode or mental health as well. You're probably in a state of mind with that. Your spoons are being used up by something else. And so if you don't know about spoon theory, I'll explain that again. So spoon theory is, it says that we only have so many resources to spend during the day, and that is calculated in spoons. And so let's say we have 10 spoons each morning, and okay, we spend a couple spoons taking a shower, brushing our teeth, and getting dressed. Okay, now we have, 7 spoons, and now we have to go to school, and school takes up, 6 of those 7 spoons. We get home. Okay, now we have to do homework, but we lost our last spoon, and now we don't have any more spoons to do what we need to do the rest of the night. And so as you end up with less and less spoons, you're gonna have trouble doing the things you need to do. And those of us on the spectrum end up having to spend more spoons than the average person, and sometimes we even dive into the next day spoons, and then we wake up already in a state of mind that's rougher than other people, and so we're not working at 100% capacity. And there are ways that you can replenish spoons, such as self-care and working on your mental health. In those kind of areas, you can replenish spoons before you use more of them. So that's how you can keep up. And so, like, making sure when you notice that you're on the last of your energy, to start replenishing that. is important. And so a lot of times kids will crash when they come home from school because they've used up all of their spoons and probably gone into the negatives in their energy, and they're not able to transition very easily, and they're not able to do all the things that they normally would be able to do. So yeah, spoons will affect everything. So so it's important to work on those areas so that you aren't forcing yourself to do something you literally don't have the capacity to do. So yeah, for trying to explain like what it feels like, to try to transition, and I guess it's just like your brain doesn't move from one subject. It's like it's stuck in this one area, and you're like, okay, it's time to move on to from reading this book to go eating dinner, but your brain won't stop thinking about the book, and it's gonna try and push away anything that distracts it from that area. And so, like, I remember being focused on something like reading, and my mom would come in and start talking, and it was like I heard like a fly buzzing and I was just like, okay, and I would do anything I could to like get that distraction away, but I didn't actually hear what she was saying, so I was like, okay, and then I would go back to so I could get back to reading, because my brain didn't want to switch off from doing what I was doing. And then and then a harsh transition, so like when someone snatches that book from my hand, that got really emotional, because that's all I can literally think about, and so it would like trigger anger and anything like in me to like get that back. And so you'll see that with video games where you can't transition out of that, especially if it's a really safe place to be, and off of that you've experienced some maybe trauma or negative things, or even just it's uncomfortable being away from that for whatever reason. You're gonna try to get back into that hyper focus of whatever that is. It's very like an animal instinct kind of thing, where you're not really thinking with like the full right. You're only thinking like with that one area. It takes over, or I guess that one area might maybe takes over. I don't know. Not getting any questions, you guys. We're halfway through with no questions. Yeah, if you're joining me and you're wondering why I have a different background, it's because I'm in a car, because I've been doing stuff today that didn't allow me to get home in time for the live stream. So I'm doing it in the car, but it's pretty cool that I can do that. Yeah, I'm doing it on the phone today.
Maybe it's a short one tonight.
Yeah, I might start ending this early, because I think I covered everything about transitions, unless y'all have some questions about it. If you want to talk about anything else, you can ask me any kind of questions about my life, about autism, about your situation. Yeah. Oh, check out our workshop on Triggered. We got that on the website. It's coming up real fast.
2 weeks?
In 2 weeks. Can't wait to do that. It's
Or actually a week from Sunday.
Yeah. Well, come back next week because I'm going to have Josh on. We're going to talk. He has a podcast where he talks with his mom just about his life with autism. And it's pretty cool. You should check it out. He's been in the comments. He's been a viewer of some of my past videos. He has some really cool questions. Yeah, so I'll link his stuff pretty soon.